The maitre d' smiled like my name had been erased. "We'll put it on Mrs. Hart's card as usual." I didn't bother looking at him. I was too busy watching my daughter, Nina, in a silk dress I hadn't bought, lift a $200 glass of Barbaresco toward Evan's smug, grinning parents. Lobster tails, truffle risotto, designer handbags slung over chair backs like trophies, a picture of wealth, a picture of theft. They hadn't seen me yet. I'd seen enough. "Dad," I whispered to the memory that steadied me when my hands wanted to shake. "What time is it?" 8:51, 9 minutes. I stepped outside Barolo House and pressed the number I'd saved 2 weeks earlier. Mr. Klein from the bank answered on the first ring. "Freeze the emergency card at exactly 9 p.m., I said. "Not a second before." A pause. "Mrs. Hart, are you absolutely—" "I'm sure." 9 minutes for Nina and Evan to bask in the glow of a lifestyle they hadn't earned, to toast illusions on my dime. I didn't go back in. I sat near the window, ordered a coffee, and watched quietly, like I had for months as receipts stacked into a second life I didn't recognize. That card, my emergency card, was for groceries and rent, not champagne tastings or weekend getaways with Evan's parents. Nina knew that. She'd cried into my shoulder the night I gave it to her after her father died. "You'll always have something," I told her. I didn't know I would become the something, the bottomless well, the quiet yes. A week earlier, I'd pulled every monthly statement from the past year and spread them across my kitchen table. Not paranoia gravity, tiny leaks, 100 soft lies that stain over time. Then I opened Nina's very public Instagram. July 16th, celebrating Evan's promotion. My statement showed $1,264.90 at Il Forno the same night. August 3rd, wine tasting day. $488 at Cello Cellars. August 21st, girls' spa reset. $291.30 at Lavender Ridge. September 5th, hearts and bellies full. $232 at a farm-to-table place I couldn't pronounce. I printed, labeled, highlighted, cross-referenced. The total, $4,218.36 in 60 days. Not emergencies. A lifestyle disguised as need. That's when I called Mr. Klein. I didn't shut the card off immediately. I wanted it watched, documented, time-stamped. "She's my daughter," I said, "but this isn't right." He listened. I emailed scans and CC'd myself twice. Tonight wasn't about catching anyone. That part was done. Tonight was choreography, timing, witnesses, paper. Tess, the server with the steady smile, had slipped me a packet 2 days earlier. Itemized receipts, Nina's name, my card. She'd seen them here often. She said big orders, bigger attitude. "I'm not trying to embarrass anyone," I told her. "I just need the truth on paper." She nodded. "Before Friday," she said, "I'll have what you need." At 8:56, Tess drifted by my table and set down a folded napkin. Inside, manager on duty, witness present, logs saved. I met her eyes. She gave the smallest nod. People like Nina think the world runs on charm. They forget how many quiet women watch, serve, remember. They forget we talk. It would be easier to say this was about the $4,218.36. That would make me sound bitter and tidy. But money is only the receipt. I was charging interest on disrespect, the erosion of boundaries, the way Nina's voice iced over when she asked for just one more favor, as though I owed it to her. If I confronted her privately, she'd weep, blame a mix-up, claim Evan used the card without asking, promise to pay me back. Maybe she'd toss in a childhood memory as balm. I wasn't looking for a story. I was done with stories. I wanted a fact that wouldn't shift under the weight of tears, a declined card in public. I set my phone on the table, face up, the screen lit with a pinned voicemail I hadn't meant to open. "I'll be okay, Mom," Nina's younger voice crackled. "Thank you for helping with the rent. We'll pay you back when things are better. I promise." I remembered that day, empty apartment, mismatched mugs, Evan between jobs, Nina with dark circles and hope like threadbare lace. I paid the landlord. I filled the fridge. She cried and hugged me. 5 years later, she was draped in silk and performing gratitude while billing me for the ticket. 8:58, a new notification. Nina's story. Nothing like a special night with the in-laws. Hash family, first hash, Seattle bites. Crystal glasses clinked in looped video. I texted my sister-in-law, Jo, the one person left who remembered the Nina before the performance took over. Hope they enjoy the night. I've paid enough for it. Jo can never resist a jab. Under Nina's post, she typed, "So sweet, and after Eleanor already paid earlier today. Busy woman." Nina saw it. I watched her smile tighten by a single degree. Precision doesn't shout, it taps the glass. The room softened around the edges. Time purled into seconds. At 9 o'clock, the check arrived. Nina didn't hesitate. She reached into her clutch and pulled out the gold-edged emergency card, my name worn pale by "Use that wasn't mine." Evan leaned back, presenting the finale to his parents like a showman. My phone buzzed. A second story, flourless chocolate, spun sugar, edible petals. Perfect night, just perfect. The text she'd sent me, "Mom, you coming?" wasn't an invitation. It was a cue, a reminder that I still lived on the outskirts of her curated life. 9:01. Tess returned to their table, folio in hand. She bent, spoke softly. Nina blinked. Tess straightened, voice just loud enough to carry to the neighboring table. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. The card has been declined." The silence that followed was surgical. Nina tried a laugh that cracked at the edges. She fumbled in her bag, looking not for another card but for a cover story. Evan leaned in. His parents watched the performance curdle. Tess took the card to try again. From my angle, I saw the terminal flare once, then flash the verdict. Declined. I stood, picked up the manila envelope, and crossed the floor. No rush, no drama, just a delivery. A few heads turned. When I reached their table, Nina finally looked up, her mouth open in no sound. I set the envelope on the linen, square with her plate, tapped it once. "Read it," Tess came back. "Would you like to use a different card?" Evan fished for his wallet, stalled. His father stared at the centerpiece, his mother's mouth pressed into a thin line. I turned from Nina before she could assemble a plea. The papers would speak louder than anything I had left in me. She opened the envelope like it might burn. Her eyes scanned page 1, then page 2. At the top, unauthorized charges, $4,218.36. Last 60 days. Emergency card revoked. Documentation on file. Dates, merchants, amounts. No bold, no highlighter, just fact. Evan peered, calculating. I watched the shift in his face. Not confusion strategy, damage control. He'd been there, I realized. They drank the wine together. They stayed at the boutique hotel together. Partners, not passengers. "Why here?" Nina whispered, cheeks flushed hot. "Because here is where you spent it," I said. My phone buzzed again. Mr. Klein. "Fraud report acknowledged. Card frozen at 9 p.m. Authorized user removed." I didn't show her. I didn't need to. "Nina," I said, steady, "you're no longer on the account. The bank will contact you about restitution. That part isn't up to me." "This is insane," she hissed. "You don't do this to family. You don't use family," I said. "And you don't spin them." Evan's mother slipped her own card into the folio, then paused, withdrew it, and set it on the table beside her water. She didn't look at me. She looked at her son. "Handle it," she said, flat. A voice cut the quiet from behind them. "Are you kidding, Nina?" We turned. Evan's younger sister, Jess. Simple dress, sharp eyes, stood with her coat over her arm. She wasn't performing, she was done. "You promised you wouldn't drag Eleanor into this again. I was at Mom's when you called about the broken oven. You were wearing new boots." She flicked her gaze at Evan. "And you? Working late in Cannon Beach?" Nina folded, a napkin of a woman. Evan stared at the bill like a test he hadn't studied for. Jess set her half of the receipt on the table and left. I took my time at the coat rack, slid one arm, then the other, into my sleeves. When I glanced back, Nina was frozen mid-sentence, receipts spread like shards across her plate. Evan's parents looked away, no longer willing to be cast in this scene. I didn't press charges. I wasn't interested in giving Nina a headline she could cry into. Court would turn me into a villain in the story she tells strangers. I wanted something sharper than revenge. I wanted control. Monday morning, I removed her from Everything Auto Pays, the old rainy day CD, the dusty line on the mortgage I'd left in place for convenience. I asked Mr. Klein for full documentation. Bundling, itemizing, notes. I called the boutique and the spa to let them know the charges might be disputed. You may want to collect from the user directly, I said, polite as a pin. Nina's Instagram went quiet. No stories, no curated contrition. Silence, the first honest post in years. A small card arrived a week later, not from Nina, from Evan's grandmother, handwritten, a flower pressed between index cards. I saw what you did, it read. I'm sorry it came to this, but it needed to. We raised them softer than we should have. Your strength reminded me what family looks like. No check enclosed, no plea, just a witness with a spine. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. I had stopped the quiet theft of my future. I didn't become the mother filmed for spectacle. I became the woman who enters a room and makes people sit up straighter. The card was frozen, the account protected, the paper trail in place. The performance was over. Love isn't a tap you leave running. It's a promise with edges. And it turns out, I still know how to keep mine.